Ruffian, probably one of the greatest racing tragedies, well, in the history of horse racing. I recently watched the 2007 TV movie starring Sam Shepard and Frank Wari, and honestly, it definitely did make me think about the whole event in general. What caused her to break down? And in general, I'd say that it wasn't just one thing, and also it wasn't the pigeons. I really do not think a pigeon would scare her and make her take a wrong step. So yeah, the pigeons thing is not going to be on this list. But I like to think that there were a variety of factors that caused this to happen. And some of them are a bit intertwined, but here we go. Here are the 5 reasons why I think Ruffian broke down in that match race. Number 1. The start. As you can see when the gate opens, she hits her left side on the gate, and that causes her to go onto her right lead leg. And I think that had something to do with it, as because she had just bruised her left side, she had to put a little more weight onto her right side. So she was putting more pressure on the right side of her body. And of course, that increases the pressure that she has to deal with. And as we see later, this is exacerbated by many other factors, such as number 2, the pressure. The pressure is a very general statement that encapsulates a lot of different factors that helped in her breaking down. For one, her rough start meant that she had to work extra hard in order to catch up to Foolish Pleasure, since Foolish Pleasure did not have a rough start. As well as that, Ruffian had to do this while leaning on her right leg. So, she had to lean on one side of her body while also having to chase after the toughest horse she had ever met. So that definitely did not help, and definitely put a lot of pressure on her right leg, both metaphorically and physically. And that sort of goes into number 3, which is Foolish Pleasure. Foolish Pleasure is the toughest horse Ruffian has ever faced. A lot of the horses that Ruffian faced against were not nearly as good as Foolish Pleasure. Heck, I don't think she really faced off against anyone particularly amazing besides maybe Hot and Nasty. So, Foolish Pleasure definitely put a lot more pressure on Ruffian, as she had never faced such a difficult horse before, causing her to fight extra hard, because she's a determined animal. So, at the end of the day, she overexerted herself trying to defeat a horse that was way tougher than anything she had ever faced in her life. The other big part of this being a problem that I have alluded to before is number 4, her running style. Her running style was go to the front and see if anyone could catch her. Well, turns out, Foolish Pleasure could catch her, keeping up with her every step of the way. So, as a frontrunner, she had never experienced a horse that could even keep up with her. If you watch most of her races, she's able to easily hold off anyone that gets near her. So, when Foolish Pleasure was right next to her, it made keeping that lead way harder, and that's ultimately what also helped overexert herself. She is a frontrunner, and she doesn't do anything else. But all of these factors kind of all come together, and they all happened on race day, and some of them could have been avoidable, like the bad start. But, in a way, Ruffian was doomed from the start because of number 5, pedigree. Her pedigree was honestly really bad. And I know that Reviewer and Shenanigans were well-bred horses, but their soundness levels were atrocious. Reviewer raced for 3 different seasons, and every single one of those seasons, he broke down at least once. He had 3 different breakdowns, and his 4th one happened in a paddock accident when he was a stud, and he died. So in total, he had 4 breakdowns over the course of his career, and Shenanigans, just like Ruffian, actually killed herself when she was awoken from anesthesia, breaking 2 of her legs. But that might have just been a coincidence. The more important thing is that Shenanigans' father is Native Dancer, who was infamous for having horrible soundness issues when it came to his ankles. So, you have a father who has broken down 3 times throughout his racing career, and you have a mother who is sired by one of the most unsound sires in the history of horse racing, and also probably one of the reasons why horses today have horrible soundness issues in general, Native Dancer, and you have a glass cannon just waiting to break. And I think that is the ultimate reason why she ended up breaking down. Her pedigree was awful, so when she finally had a horse that put on too much pressure, and that was Foolish Pleasure, she buckled. And it was over. And if it weren't for Frank Whiteley, she might have broken down at the age of 2. But the one time that they decided to do a race that Frank Whiteley was in general pretty against, that's when things went bad. That's when things went wrong. Now, normally I would say hope you guys enjoyed this video, but it isn't really appropriate for this video. I think today it's a bit different. I think today I say, I hope you guys found this interesting and a new way to look at the match race. See you guys next time.